when it does it.
The following podcast is brought to you by the Johners Podcasting Network, found exclusively at wrestlingwithjohners.com.
I'm joined today by Harry Milligan. Thank you for coming on and joining me on the show. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to, speak to me, out of everyone.
No, thank you very much for having me.
So you are pretty much a young and upcoming superstar in the UK, I would say, because you are very young.
Yes.
And you've had how many years in the business now behind you?
I think this is my 8th year. I started training in 2016, right at the beginning of 2016.
Wow.
Yeah, when I was 12.
Wow. People do start very young these days, don't they?
In the UK especially, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you are based currently in Portsmouth, is that correct? That's where you're.
Correct. Yeah, down
area. Is it the RevPro training school you train
Yeah,
at?
the Portsmouth School of Wrestling down in Portsmouth is the RevPro affiliated school.
Talk to me about that. How did that come about? What made you become a wrestler? And
so back in 2015, I went to a RevPro show in Portsmouth, the Mountbatten Centre, that had Alberto Del Rio on, which was front and centre of the poster. So I was like, oh, WWE wrestler. I want to go to that show. So I got my parents to take me. When I went to the show, they had flyers on there for their next show, which was down at the Portsmouth Guildhall. And there was like a double-sided flyer on all the seats. So I picked it up and it had like AJ Styles on it. And it was like, oh, AJ Styles is coming to Portsmouth. This will be cool. And then you flip it over and it had an advert for the training school on the back. And it read through like all the different classes. And at the bottom it said junior classes. And I was like, I've never seen anywhere online. Because when you're like 12, you Google, wrestling schools. And they're all in America or they're all 5 hours away. And no one lets children wrestle.
yeah,
but then in RevPro, they have junior specific sessions where you get like a big crash mat out and you'll practice your favorite WWE finishing moves. And you're not like, you don't bump yourself silly like you would at an adults class and cause yourself any harm. It's just all fun, but like it's a good introduction for wrestling for kids because then you get that that instinct drilled in from a young age, so that when you're an adult and you start training a bit more seriously, you already have a bit of experience behind you. But yeah, I saw it off the school on a leaflet at a RevPro show, and then got my mum to phone up Andy Quildan. Yeah, and then I was down there by the start of 2016.
Yeah. So from 2016 onwards, you've been in. So is it like you mentioned from the age of 12, you do like the crash mats and stuff like that? Would you say when did they start actually letting you get into the ring?
So you're in the ring from day one,
All right.
which is really cool because I thought you'd be on like crash mats outside the ring and around the ring and stuff like that. But they let you straight in the ring. They have rules, obviously, like the kids, you're not allowed to go near the ropes in case you fall out, or you're not allowed to jump on the crash mat unless instructed in case someone's being thrown on top of it. Yeah, you're in the ring from day one. But in terms of like actually wrestling, when I was about 14 or so, it's a little bit older now because we've learned how to do things with the school a bit better. But when I was about 14, I sort of was like, I wanted to show off and be like, oh no, I want to be an adult, and treat me like an adult. Which I regret now to some extent because my body's not in the best condition it's ever been in. But yeah, so from about the age of 14, I started doing we had beginners classes as well. So it's sort of like a little bit of an overlap between like the older people at the junior classes and the teenagers classes, which weren't around at the time, but they are now. The beginners class would like bridge the gap between the two, between the advanced class as well, because then you're still doing like people there can still go for the first time as adults, but then also the kids that are there, you're in a familiar setting, just doing more advanced stuff, so that when you start doing the advanced classes, it's a bit easier for you. But about nowadays, it's about 16. But for me, I was about 14.
Yeah.
When I started getting in with the adults.
So how long would you say you've been with RevPro? Because RevPro I've seen is like your sole company that you are with, which is one of the biggest in the UK, you would say, RevPro.
Yeah, RevPro, like I've been like day one in terms of training and also being at the shows. So once I started doing the adult training sessions as well, we'd have the RevPro shows, which we go and crew at. So they were the first sort of shows that I got to go and help do the ring, set up the chairs, music, make entrance videos for, put the referee for on some of the trainee shows and the holiday camp shows. So like I've got everything I've done has always been with RevPro.
Yeah.
So I feel like, again, for like those last sort of 8 years or so, that has been my home promotion, sort of like the goal and not sort of the stepping stone onto what I want to go on to next.
Yeah. So you are having, we'll speak a lot about RevPro in this interview, but I've seen in St. Nuts you've got a upcoming match against this guy.
Yes.
Connor Mills. He's one of the, in my opinion, one of the best in the UK as well. He's a very hard hitter. And yeah, you've pretty much got your money work cut out for you, haven't you?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one on Sunday. But no, I'm really looking forward to it. Like Mills is, again, one of the best wrestlers in the country at the moment. But without a shadow of a doubt. And it's the first time we've ever wrestled, which is, I'm surprised we haven't wrestled before.
Yeah.
Given that we've been on so many of the same shows as each other, not just in RevPro, but like around the country.
Mm-hmm.
We've never wrestled before, so yeah, it's gonna be a real fun one on Sunday.
Are you going to be coming out the victory?
We'll see. I'm gonna say yes. If you don't have yes in your head, then you're never actually going to win.
That's very true.
You're setting yourself up to lose at the start. But he's got a bit of a role at the moment. He's got Luke Jacobs the following week at York Hall to take his place in the Revolution Rumble.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty much. Are you going to be in the Rumble as well?
Well, I don't know at the moment. I can't say. I would love to enter the Revolution Rumble next Sunday at York Hall. Like York Hall for me is genuinely like a dream venue for me in terms of British wrestling. Obviously, RevPro's my home promotion. It's their big venue that they run. It's like, even though we've had like, Crystal Palace and the Copper Box now, York Hall has like the name value. Like York Hall is still the prestige of that venue. It hasn't left.
Like the WrestleMania of the UK, isn't it?
Pretty much, yeah. But that's how I always think of it. Like York Hall were like the top level shows. So like to be able to wrestle at York Hall, which is a venue that I've been to see shows at for years, crewed at, done production work for, built the ring, set up chairs, like to wrestle there would be incredible. We'll see though.
Yeah, never say never, right? Who would you say has been your favourite opponents in RevPro over your tenure there?
In RevPro specifically?
Yeah, who would you say that you've had like good matches with, or you think, do you know what, good performer?
Specifically recently, tagging with Michael Oku.
Yeah, back in December.
We had a match in December and also February in Southampton. In Southampton, we wrestled Mark True and Kieran Lacey.
Mm-hmm.
Really enjoyed that match. That was great fun. Lost, got battered, did not come out in the best condition I've ever come out in, but that's all right with learning process here. But yeah, that, and then also again the December one. Obviously, the December match had a lot of meaning behind it.
Yeah,
it was something that I was asked to do last minute, which again more than happy to do, wanting to do, if anything. But yeah, that match, the December one with Josh James and Will Caven, again tagging with Michael Oku, is for more reasons than just enjoying the match itself, will always be very, very special to me.
Yeah, What back in December when I saw that you got announced for that show and with Michael Oku, what better person to be in the ring with than pretty much the top champion?
Yeah,
RevPro, and like you said, that night was special for so many reasons, and yeah, we won't go into it because it's a very I'm getting a bit worked up, talking about it myself. But
yeah. I'm holding together. I'm doing all right.
Yeah, it's special. It was a special. Put it this way, it was a special night for you. Just a special night to celebrate.
Yeah, it was a good night to allow people to show that people care and just to celebrate someone's life.
Yeah,
and I feel like when I came back, I think I said from that match, I was very honoured to have done it, but I hope I never have to do anything like that again. I will, but I hope I never have to.
Yeah, when stuff like this happens, this is just my opinion. When stuff like this happens, and so say for example, a wrestler dies, or like whether it's a WWE legend that you grew up watching, and then you feel like you're connected to that person, and then it's just like me going to see shows and everything, and I'm a big fan. I'll give you an example, like Will Ospreay, or Zack Sabre Jr., or Michael Oku, or just anyone in the UK who's pretty much big right now, or even coming up. You go to the shows, you see the same people, and then you get invested in the characters, and then you'll say, for example, I'll go to Sydney Arts, then I'll go to Stevenage, then I'll go to York Hall, then I'll go to this, and I'll go to that. Do you know what I mean? You go to the same places, you see the same people. You as wrestlers recognize the same people. You think, oh my God, is this? I feel like you get like a little connection. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like you see the same fans, and you know who the true fans. I can't speak. The true fans are.
Yeah, like you recognize faces. Like you see the same faces in the crowd all the time, and they're the people that are buying the tickets, keeping the product sustainable, so that you have a job to do.
Yeah, it's pretty much, it touches you, and then when stuff like this happens, it's like it makes you think that life's short and stuff like that. And literally, you've got to wake up every morning feeling grateful and stuff like that, ain't you?
Yeah, like it put everything into perspective for a lot of people. But what I was fortunate in the sense of with the St. Neots show is the St. Neots show was at a time where I needed to be around a lot of people, so that I was then forced, if anything, because I was going to be at the show regardless, into being around loads of people, which was just exactly what I needed. I needed to be around my friends and the other wrestlers, just to keep like your spirits up. Because if you're sat on your own, you're just like thinking about being sad, you're going to be sad. So like, I think it done everyone good that day in St. Neots to get out and just be together, for the fans, the wrestlers, like the trainees that came and put up the ring, and the crew and everyone.
Yeah, St. Neots I think St. Neots for you guys and RevPro for that night will hold us. That venue itself will hold. It's like York Hall. Each venue or something has a meaning. So that York, like St. Neots now, that venue is what's the word I'm looking for?
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to feature the line, but I can't think.
So pretty much that venue, that night and everything, it means something. You will never forget that. And then so every time you go back to that venue, you'll be remembered, and you'll feel it's like connected, or you'll feel happy. I think.
Yeah, I'll forever have a connection to that venue. And
that's what I'm trying to say.
I'll think about it every time I walk in. I'll be like, oh, this is where that St. Neots show was, December, whatever it was,
23. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. I do apologise. You know,
that's all right. We got there.
Really rubbish with words, man. Not gonna lie. Just trying to get it out. It just sometimes it don't come for me. I say the wrong thing.
All right, we got there.
Stuff like that. Yeah. So RevPro pretty much is, like we've said, is the number one. When you think of promotions in the UK, you've got RevPro, you've got Progress. They're the top two who you think, wow, for the UK. And then you've got
in terms of UK wrestling, you've got like in terms of like what's mainstream and well known as well.
Yeah.
Excuse me. You've got like RevPro and Progress are, at least in the fans' eyes, perceived as 1 and 2.
Yeah. And then you've got like the other ones like TNT, you've got BWR, you've got IWN, you've got Pro Wrestling Eve, you've got there's like other companies, isn't there? And you've got ICW, which is obviously that's big, but that's in Scotland. But,
yes, we're on Portsmouth. That's could not be any further away from me if I tried.
I'm literally bang in the middle of you guys.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, up in Lincolnshire, if you've heard of
that.
Yeah, very familiar with Portsmouth myself, and going around it and stuff. What would you say your plan is for 2024?
To just wrestle as much as possible. Like I finally feel like I'll start again. For the longest time, with wrestling, it was like I'd wrestle every like few months or few weeks. So when I first started training, when I first started training and then getting on shows, we would do trainee shows in Portsmouth, at like the Mountbatten Centre and Buckingham, like smaller community centre venues for like family friendly crowds. where we get a chance to go and have like our first few runouts before we get put on the main RevPro shows, so that we've got some experience and some matches behind us.
Yeah.
So that we don't, make an arse out of ourselves as soon as we go onto a big stage. So with like, you'd wrestle maybe 4 or 5 times a year if you were lucky, if you got on all of those shows.
Mhm.
And then you'd also have a few like camp shows and stuff thrown in as well. But with 2024, especially for me now, is that I'm starting to notice my matches are becoming like more regular, and that's the only way you get better is by having more wrestling matches.
Consistency is key in it.
Yeah, consistency. So like I would go through states. So 2022 was the first year that I was getting bookings outside of like the RevPro trainee shows.
Yeah.
So I started working for like Modern Nomad, Creation, Purpose, Wrestle Force, Pro Wrestling East. I'm probably missing someone. But that's when I got a taste of like what being a real wrestler was like, so to speak, and wrestling more often than just on the trainee shows once every 8 weeks, 10 weeks. So once I got a taste of that, it was like, okay, so now I just need to get like my reps in to try and get myself better. And now I feel like I'm at the point where I'm at the ability-wise, I'm at the best I've ever been, which is ideal because you always want to be progressing and going forwards. So this year, I just want to wrestle as much as possible and just keep consistency up. So the more I wrestle, obviously, the better I can. Like my ability will improve at wrestling, and also my fitness will improve, and I'll just have a better mind for wrestling the more you do it.
Yeah.
So this year, I just want to wrestle as much as possible and get on as many shows at RevPro as possible.
Yeah. Would you say you want to venture out abroad, or?
I'd love to go abroad. I look at places like I'd love to wrestle in Italy. Italy looks like a good fun place to wrestle at the moment. Germany, I'd love to go out and wrestle. Germany there's a lot of exciting stuff in Germany. Obviously, they have 16 carat and stuff, which I believe has just been. That always looks like fun every year. America as well.
Is rising Paris.
Where else have we got around the world? Obviously, Japan. I'd love to wrestle for New Japan Pro Wrestling. I feel like that is more of a mainstream goal for me, is to wrestle for New Japan.
I think it's nice to see like the British wrestlers. Do you know, like even the females? You've got the females that go to Stardom. There's quite a lot of UK females wrestlers who have gone to Stardom. Just to name 5 off top of my head. You've got Kaylee Ray. You've got Maria May. You've got who else? You got Lizzie Evo's gone over. Yeah, Lizzie Evo's gone over. You've got.
You had Zoe Lucas and Bobby Tyler, both Portsmouth School of Wrestling.
Yeah, that's true.
They've been over to Stardom.
Very true. And then for New Japan, you got
Jamie Hayter as well. New Japan Portsmouth School of Wrestling trained.
That's true. For New Japan, you've got Callum Newman. You've obviously had Will Ospreay. You've got Dan Maloney. You've got Gabe Kidd.
Yeah,
the list goes on.
Yeah, the relationship between the UK and Japan has over the years it's gone from strength to strength. It's just benefited both sides equally, I feel.
Yeah,
understandable. So back in 2013, New Japan sent Hiromu Takahashi over to the UK for his excursion, and he was working like our small trainee shows and everything. Like he just worked everything, like the camp shows, the lot, just to come and learn like the UK style of wrestling.
Yeah.
So once you have that relationship with another company in another country, you can afford to send guys across and have like that cross promotion that can benefit both parties.
It's
like we're doing with like GWF and Lucha Libre Barcelona, like just trying to open up more avenues to build our product.
So yeah, like you said, you've got the RevPro and New Japan. They've had partnerships for many years now, haven't they? Before COVID, they did that Global Wars tour.
Yeah, you'd have we had Global Wars, we had Strong Style Evolved, and we also had the first Royal Quest before COVID as well. So a lot of big events with New Japan.
Yeah, it still happens every year, doesn't it? It happened last year at Crystal Palace, I think.
Yeah, Royal Quest. Royal Quest last year was the Copper Box. The year before was Crystal Palace. They had like the 2 nights.
That's what I'm thinking of. Is there anyone you would say that you want to face this year, who you haven't before, who you think is on your radar, who has a similar style to you, that you'd like to get in the ring with, that you think you could have a good match with?
Every year I feel like, oh, I like to wrestle this person, this person, and this person.
Yeah.
And I was very fortunate that a lot of the top names in the country I got round to wrestling because people liked the Harry Chapman act. So they bring me and Curtis in, and then I got to wrestle all these cool people, which is really down to Curtis, because I was like, it's his gimmick. It wasn't me. I just did his act with him, and it got me some cool matches. But then the last two people that I had left, the people that I was ticking off, were Michael Oku and Connor Mills. Obviously, wrestling Connor Mills this Sunday, and then that leaves me with Michael Oku, who I wanted to wrestle for years. Being someone that 2024 I would really like to wrestle, so watch this space. That's what I'll say for that.
Yeah, big shout out to Michael Oku. You know, Andy. You know, book the match.
He should.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll definitely be seeing this.
I'll make sure he does.
Yeah, who would you say your Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling is? I ask this one everyone.
Oh my god,
that's just one question I ask everyone, and everyone always says, depending on who I've had, they say it changes all the time.
I feel like it does change all the time, because one day I'll see someone online that I might have never heard of, and I'll go, "Here's the best wrestler in the world," and you cannot change my mind from like a 30-second clip. I'll be like, "Oh, I love him." Like when I first saw LA Knight, I was like, "This is incredible." Like when I saw how over he got in WWE, like I just jumped on the bandwagon straight away. I was like, "God, this man is in my Mount Rushmore of pro wrestling." It's probably not, but on that day, I would have said he was.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I'm just going to speak from the heart and go for personal as opposed to what I think people want to hear. Because then I can't be wrong if it's just my opinion. I feel like Will Ospreay goes on the Mount Rushmore for me, because for my money, he's the one of, if not the best wrestler in the world. Sorry, right now.
Yes, resumed. So the Mount Rushmore, you was on about LA Knight after that little blip there.
Yeah, again, if you'd asked me on that day where I realised that I'd loved LA Knight, I'd have said he's on my Mount Rushmore of pro wrestling. But we're going to say he's not. And now I'll give my Mount Rushmore from my own opinion, because at least if it's my opinion, I can't be lying. So for me, Will Ospreay on my Mount Rushmore, because I think he probably is the best wrestler in the world right now.
Agreed.
Like, I just think he's insane. Like, every match he has, I'm like, that was phenomenal.
I mean, is that just in his short span now? Do you know, in Kyle Fletcher and Takeshka, whatever his name is.
Yep.
He's at 2 5-star matches already.
Yeah.
The one with Brian Daniels.
Michael Oku as well.
Yeah.
Crystal Palace just gone. I was like, that. Phenomenal.
Yeah, the one with what's it called? The one with Brian Danielson coming up at AEW Dynasty in April. That is going to be off the chart.
And that's like, if you told me back in 2016 that one day you'll see Will Ospreay versus Daniel Bryan, I'd have been like, nah, come on.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Will
Ospreay
on what grounds? Because I'm like, Will Ospreay won't go to WWE.
Yeah, Will Ospreay.
Here we are.
Best, isn't it? One of the best in the world.
So yeah, Will Ospreay definitely has to be on my Mount Rushmore. John Cena has to go on my Mount Rushmore, because he is.
Okay.
I suppose the reason that I started watching wrestling back when I was like 7 years old. Because I saw him on TV and was like, this guy's a superstar. I love him. Which I guess a lot of kids did, to be fair, with John Cena back when they were young. And then I need two more, and this is difficult.
You do yours, and then I'll tell you mine after.
Cool. Right, so I'm 2 for 2. Or 2 out of 4 even.
Do you want me to tell you my two while you think?
Yeah, go for it.
So, Will Ospreay, we've established is the best wrestler in the world currently. I would have him if you didn't have had him. So, we will say he is the best wrestler in the world, but he's not going to go on mine. He would, but you've had him. Agreed?
Cool.
So
Right.
we'll go on opinion for me and the style and everything. I'm going to go with AJ Styles.
Oh, that is a great show.
Because what got me hooked to AJ Styles, I mean, I saw this match years later, but it was this three-way match with Samoa Joe and Christopher Daniels in TNA back in like 2005, 2006. That was like
Unreal match.
amazing. And then I've just followed his character all along, and then he was in Bullet Club. I loved that character in New Japan. I thought he was amazing. And then, funny enough, a little story. I met AJ Styles as soon as he finished in New Japan. He did a little tour. He did a little tour of the UK where he dropped the title to Zack Sabre Jr. I think in RevPro.
Yes. Yeah.
And
March
then
8th, 2016.
Yeah, but like I think 6-7 days before that, I met him at 5-Star Wrestling, and he was there.
Oh God, 5-star wrestling.
Yeah, he had the first time ever match with Rey Mysterio, and that was a banger of a match as well. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, that sounds pretty incredible.
Yeah, so
5-star wrestling. Hey, whatever happened to them?
well, there was, put it this way, too much money. Spent too much money, couldn't back it up. AJ Styles. Tell me about it. AJ Styles. I've always liked him, but then he's hit and miss. CM Punk.
Okay.
By hit and miss, I think I loved his work from, we'll say, 2009 when he was straight edge, and then he was getting his characters and stuff, to 2014 when he left. I think he was in that time one of the best wrestlers in the world that WWE had. He was back in 2009 to 2011. He was like the Daniel Bryan of the 2013/12.
Yeah, he was the wrestler for the fans, wasn't he? He was like he wasn't the most jacked wrestler or the tallest wrestler, but he was much like with Danielson in WWE.
Yeah,
he was like the working man's wrestler.
Yeah, the pipe bomb was wow, and no one had never had been said, was it? The pipe bomb.
Like a lot of people have thought for years, but no one had ever said it.
Literally. So I'm on Styles, Punk. I'm going to go with Eddie Guerrero, even though I was 5 when he died, but in my eyes, his artwork and his charisma, and he can talk, and he's funny, he lies and cheats, just everything about him was good. Then if I'm going to go with the fourth one, fucking it's hard, isn't it?
Like names float around in my head.
Just an all-round person, and he's carried the business for the last 30 years and just carried on, and he's had so many good matches. We'll just say he's very respected, The Undertaker.
Yeah, okay, fair.
So Punk,
Can't argue that.
Taker, Styles, and Eddie Guerrero.
Interesting. I feel like in mine, I'm going to throw in Jushin Thunder Liger. Because I feel like to a more casual wrestling fan who doesn't know New Japan, there was a time where if they thought of Japanese wrestling, they would be able to picture this guy in the red and white mask with the horns or whatever.
Yeah.
So I feel like, much like, for me, that used to be Ishii when I first started getting into New Japan. If I thought of New Japan, I just think of the bald guy with no neck. So Ishii for me, I guess, was the Liger in what I'm saying in this scenario. But Jushin Thunder Liger, I'll put on my list. And then I guess I throw in Hulk Hogan.
Oh, you could have thought of someone better.
Well, I'm trying to think of someone who helped evolve.
You could have said Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels, Triple H, The Rock, Steve Austin, and you pick under.
But Hogan was Hogan did what they did just before him, like in terms of making, trying to transcend the business.
Yeah, I guess.
Don't worry, I'm not here saying that Hogan's the best worker ever, or
the
best people ever. Yeah, all that. Funny enough, Hogan, when he used to talk about his leg drop, and he was like, "Oh yeah, my back's destroyed, and all the hips, the discs in his like hip and his back are all fused and stuff like that." I was like, "Nah, that's fine. I'm sure it's just because the ring was stiff." And then I used to do leg drops at training quite a lot, like off the top and stuff as well. And I can confirm you shouldn't do those.
Well, that's good to know. Don't do them. Don't
Yeah,
do them,
no, they
please.
don't. Yeah, no, they don't do well on your body. I should have actually listened to Hogan, but I was like, nah, it's just because he's old.
Yeah. In your time, like you've mentioned, you've been there 8 years. You must have picked up an injury along the way.
Yeah,
What would you say is the worst one that you've had?
The worst. So, technically, the answer would be is that I have scoliosis, which I didn't know I had before I started wrestling.
Oh, fucking hell.
Yeah. So when I went to the hospital and first got it checked out in like 2020, they were like, "So your spine is curved." So like one of my shoulders, I think this one is like slightly dipped compared to the other one. I don't know if the camera's flipped, so it looks a bit weird. But one of my shoulders is a different length, and also my arms are not the same length if they're outstretched. I don't really know if you can see, but one's slightly shorter than the other, where it's crooked. And they don't believe that you can just get scoliosis. Like most people will be born with like some sort of curve in their spine. But they reckon mine was so minimal that when I was born, it was never ever noticed. And it's only because I was bumping on it from a young age that my back has started to like go like this. So it's a bit like a quaver. So I guess you could say that, but it's not really an injury. It's more of a condition that you just sort of maintain with.
Do you reckon that'll affect you long term?
Probably, but I'm having fun at the moment, so we'll see what happens. Yeah, it will definitely have some impact in the future, and I will have to be smart about some of the things I do and some of the choices I make in my life. But it'll be okay. But in terms of like an actual injury, fortunately, never anything like major. But like my knees are destroyed. Like one time on a show, I just stomped my foot on the floor, and there was like a slight bit of uneven. It was a little bit uneven on the padding. So imagine if you slip off like a thin curb and like roll your ankle or something. It's about that much height difference. So I twisted my knee doing that. So my knees have been destroyed for years. And then one time at training, I just went over the top rope like a Royal Rumble elimination. Felt like a little pop in my knee, and I was like, "Oh no, it's fine." And then for the next 5 weeks, I had to have a bath every single morning just to let the heat soak into my knees so I could bend it without pain. And that's how I had to start my day. But like, it was never like actually injured. It was just because it was swelling, and just the hot water and the heat was the only way to bring it down.
Yeah.
So that was like not a fun 5 weeks, and that was just when we were coming back from COVID as well. So like everyone's gas tank was empty. No one had any fitness. So like you weren't in the best condition anyway, and then obviously I had to then sit out for another 5-6 weeks while I couldn't walk. But like I've thankfully never broken anything, or really damaged anything, or I've not had to pull out of any shows due to injury.
Touch wood.
Yeah, touch wood.
So you've had, while you've been at RevPro, you've come under Will Ospreay quite a lot, I would say.
So Will Ospreay, he's at a lot of those. So any show he's on, he's around, and anyone that has been in a room with Will Ospreay knows that if he's in a room, he's there. Like the way he talks, he's very expressive. He brings energy into a room. If he's in a room, then that room tends to be in a good mood, just because he's very an uplifting person to be around. But also at the training school, we had him down for a few seminars a couple of years ago now, and yeah, just incredible to be around. He's got the enthusiasm and the energy. I've seen people at those seminars and the training classes we did with him that would normally be shy and not want to talk and be sort of all secluded to themselves. And Will just knows how to bring energy out of people.
Yeah.
Like, if you're at a session with Will Ospreay, you're in a good mood. Everyone's having a good time. There's one of the guys at the training school went to do a springboard 450 and couldn't springboard nor 450 before that day, and has not been able to do it since. But on that day, he did it. Just because Will Ospreay was there, just shouting at him, like, "Go on, do it!"
That was a good impression.
Yeah, it's easy once you've been around him enough. But it's like,
Yeah.
he's just the most uplifting person to be around. And also, again, where he's so good and his mind works in such a different way for wrestling. You'll run a spot in front of him and he'll just be able to analyze it and pick it apart. And he'll go into so much detail on why such and such was good and such was bad. And like, he'll be like, oh, yeah, they're all little bits, but you know, you put the little bits together, it gets good. And I'm like, yeah, that is exactly how it works, to be fair.
That's a really good impression, that.
Thank you. You haven't heard my Andy Quildan.
Yeah.
Yeah, like being around Will is the best person to be around for training, in my opinion. It's just obviously he's not around anymore because he's off doing AEW and other stuff like that. And who can fault him? But
He'll be back.
yeah, if we were able to have him down the training school more often, I'd love it. It'd be incredible.
He'll be back to RevPro. I can see it because Will Ospreay's not one of them here. I don't think he never forgets his roots.
No, he never will. That's why I think his last match came at RevPro. There was no better way to send him off than the way we did with the Michael Oki match at Crystal Palace.
Yeah, he's when NXT UK came knocking, he didn't go. When WWE offered him money, he didn't go. He stayed with New Japan, even through COVID and everything. He's been loyal to New Japan for 8 years. Even New Japan, RevPro, New Japan, RevPro. He's one of them guys that's proven he doesn't need WWE.
Yeah, he's very much. He's a very loyal person, and he wears his heart on his sleeve, which sometimes gets him in trouble. And it's not always the best thing. So he'll also speak before he thinks a lot of the time.
Yeah,
but it's like, yeah, he's a very loyal person. He will always stick to his roots, and he's not the sort of person that would just pick up and leave because it's WWE. Like, he will do what's right for him and what he thinks is right for the industry as a whole. And
he's a family man as well.
Yeah, he's a family. He wants to be at home. He loves his parents. He loves his missus. Like, he loves his stepson. So to be able to still wrestle and do everything that he wants to do with wrestling and travel around the world, but also be able to live at home, I feel like it's a win-win for him. And there was no other option for him.
Literally. What would you say it's like to work under Andy Quildan?
Great. Like Andy, he's one of the biggest, like, I feel, characters in British wrestling. In the sense that everyone knows who he is, everyone has an impression of him, which is amazing. Because you have any conversation with anyone and they're talking about Andy, if they're saying something that he said, it'll be in the impression. But yeah, I feel like with RevPro, he single-handedly built this company up to what it's become now. And he's made it in my opinion, the top promotion in the UK.
Yeah.
So then he gives you, when a lot of the other wrestling shows I do, you turn up and you're given direction in terms of what they'd like out the match or what they'd like out the show or where your story's progressing to in the future. Yeah, they'll give you like some direction, but sometimes Andy will have like specific points that he wants you to hit. And he gives you full freedom to do what you want on the shows, but he has his like bullet points, and it's up to you how you get there. But that's because a lot of the time stuff is methodically thought about long term. So there'll be stuff that like he'll get you to do on a show that you might not think makes any sense, or it's not clear to you just yet why it's happening. And then in a few months' time, everything makes sense because he's got such a good mind for wrestling.
Yeah.
But like everything gets pieced together. Like psychologically, everything makes sense. And when stuff doesn't, we learn from it and we try again.
That's very true. He just, everyone who I've spoken to has praised him and spoke highly of him. And said he's a great guy to be around. And that's
100%.
what you want out of a boss or someone who's booking on the show. And the fact that you just said he gives you full control freedom, which today in wrestling companies, well, in little companies, it's allowed, but like you said, the fact that he gives you freedom as long as you get them bullet points, that's great. Yeah, what would be amazing is if in WWE we see freedom, but
right,
we get people writing But do you know what I mean?
It's like every now and then you'll see like a tweet or something, and someone will say about a sick match that's happened on like a house show, and it's like that's just because they've been told to go out there and work for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And they've gone out there and done their job. They haven't been given a 3-minute TV match with a commercial break in between that they need to work around.
Commercial break and drinking
distraction
water.
finish and all that. Yeah.
Crazy. So we'll wrap it up with an inspirational quote from you, Harry. What would you say?
You're throwing me on the spot there because I can't even think of something witty or funny to say. Inspirational quote.
Or just a quote. What's your favourite?
Don't fall in.
Hey?
Don't fall in.
Don't fall in.
Don't fall in.
Go on,
take that how you will, but don't fall in.
Yeah, okay. I'll say chase your dreams.
Fair enough.
So thank you, Harry, for coming on today. I really do appreciate it. You've been a fun guy. Nice chatting. I really do appreciate it. I will be having you on again in the future.
Sounds good.
Do appreciate your time. Thank you, Harry. I do appreciate it, man. Take care. Have a good day.
Thank you very much. Thank you, and you.